All right, guys, welcome back to KCCP. I got a quick video for you. I don't want to make it too long because it seems like people don't like long videos. So let's get right into it. I want to give you my very short reaction to the Buffalo Bills. I wasn't able to put a reaction video out because of my travel and some technical difficulties. Several things were playing into that. I also needed to catch up on film for the high school football team. So here is my reaction. I don't really have much of one. Those were two fantastic football teams that played a hell of a game. And I really, hey man, I know some of you are hurting and disappointed and you want to lash out at players or coaches. I've heard people, not necessarily in my audience, but I've heard people talking about fire Andy Reid. I've heard people talking about Patrick Mahomes choked and can't get it done, which is stupid. I've heard the whole gambit, man. Calm down, dude. It was a really good football team. We are not going to win every single game, especially against really good football teams. To be where we are record-wise at the end of this stretch is pretty amazing in my opinion. I think we're ahead of schedule from my prediction, which means we're going to be just fine, guys. And the Buffalo Bills are a really good football team. They just are. Does that mean that because we lost to them that we're for sure going to be the 2 seed? No. The Buffalo Bills could have injuries. They could hit a rough patch. They could have a patch of games where they don't play well. And they could end up a game or two behind us, man. And then that game doesn't even matter. So just relax and let the season play out. It's still early in the season. That's all I have on the Buffalo Bills, man. I'm not going to pick it apart or overanalyze it. Those are two really good football teams that really battled it out, and the Bills won. And that's okay. They're going to win sometimes. I'd rather lose this one than the one in January, right? So, and I do believe we will see them in January. I do. With that, let's move on to some more recent news. So, obviously, I made a video about it already, a short, and I'll talk about shorts and stuff like that at the end of this video. But Travis Kelce, they converted some of his salary into bonus, which means he gets paid up front, and it converts into cap room. And so they freed up $3.45 million in cap. So it gives us a little breathing room. Now, there's a number of possibilities. If you want some sensational idea about what they're going to do with this cap room, probably not the place for you, man, because I'm not going to do it. However, it is a possibility that they could make a trade. We have the draft capital to go make a trade, and there are teams that are having fire sales right now. So if you wanted a guy like Brian Burns, you could for sure go get him. Do I think it's likely? No, I don't. I think what is likely is that they did this to just give a little breathing room for the continuation of the season. That's the most likely. Now, my gut instinct, though, is that something is coming. I don't know how big of a move. I think something's coming. It could be just a free agent signing. It could be OBJ. Fully possible that it's OBJ, and I know there's a lot of people banging the table for him. I would be happy with that signing, although I don't think it's our most pressing need. I think we need an edge rusher, right? So I would really love if they are going to make a splash move to go get Brian Burns, because he's young, he's very talented, and it would be just a phenomenal move, because then you have Karlaftis on one side, Brian Burns on the other, and you've kind of already completed your D-line. Does it cause cap concerns for the future? Yeah, a little bit. But make no mistake, the cap is malleable. I used to say things like the cap is not real, but people don't understand hyperbole, and that people are a little bit dense. So I will stay away from hyperbole and say that the cap is extremely malleable. We have lots of ways to create cap space in this year and next year. One of the ways we can create cap space is Chris Jones. So I know that there are some people talking about trading Chris Jones. That's stupid. It's not going to happen. They're looking at next year's cap hit and they're freaking out about it. Look, the way Chris Jones is playing, man, we cannot afford to let him go. Right now, he is the best interior defensive lineman in football, bar none, including Aaron Donald. He is outplaying Aaron Donald this season. So check yourself. We're not trading him. He's not going anywhere. He's going to get re-signed in the offseason. We're going to push that money down the road because that's what you do. It's going to create a ton of cap space when we do it. And depending on how you structure the contract, you could create like $30 million in cap or something like that with Chris Jones re-signing next year. So there's money to be made. There's money, cap room to be made. So if we wanted to pick up Brian Burns and sign him to a long-term deal, we absolutely could. It would basically just be a replacement for Frank Clark's big contract. We had Chris Jones and Frank Clark on a big contract before, so it's very doable. You have control of Karlaftis for the remainder of this year and the next 4 after that. So very, very doable to get Brian Burns in here on a long-term deal. I don't think it's likely. I just don't feel like the Chiefs make those kind of moves often. I think Veach sometimes is looking for the off the beaten path kind of player. Brian Burns to me is not the off the beaten path kind of player. He's a known quantity. I would love it if we went after him, and don't think that I'm crap talking on Veach. I'm not. I like what he does most of the time. He has made mistakes in the past, obviously. But I just don't think it's a Veach type of move. He could surprise me though, man. And I hope he does, because I would really love it if Brian Burns was a Chief. I would be stoked. So there is that news. With that, let's get right into the 49ers. It's 49er week. So, of course, a Super Bowl rematch from 2019. Let's talk the injury report real quick. So the 49ers are real banged up. I'm just looking at my list here real quick. Let's go over the Chiefs real quick first. Mecole Hardman has the heel. He was a full participant. Trey Smith has a pec, full participant. L'Jarius Sneed has a banged up knee, full participant. Harrison Butker, left ankle, full participant. Brian Cook he's in the concussion protocol. He was a limited participant. So that could mean a lot of things. We don't know. I wouldn't expect him back, but he could be. Depends on where he's at in that return to play protocol. A limited participant could mean all he did was light jogging that day. If that's the case, I wouldn't expect to see him back. If he's further along than that, we could see him back. I don't know. I didn't hear anything or see anything or read anything about it. So, not sure on Brian Cook. Rashad Fenton is out with a hamstring, did not participate, and he will not play this week. Mike Dana has a calf and did not participate. However, I do expect to see him play this week. Joe Thuney, ankle, did not participate. I also expect him to play this week. So, excuse me, a little bit of a hiccup this morning. Trent McDuffie was a full participant, and he should play this week as well. He's not listed on the injury report because of his roster status. They don't actually have to list him on the injury report, but he will play. Let's get into the Niners. I think I'm going to skip over... No, I'll list everybody. Linebacker Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles has a knee but was a full participant. Tight end Tyler Kroft, knee, full participant. Tight end Charlie Warner, shoulder, full participant. D-end Nick Bosa with a groin, limited participant. So Nick Bosa, I fully expect him to make his return this week. That's going to be big for the 49ers. Without him, they were absolutely completely depleted on the D-line. They are still depleted on the D-line even if he does play, but it is going to give them, obviously, a big boost because he's a superstar player, man. We'll talk about that when we talk about game plan. Linebacker Drake Jackson, I believe he is either a rookie or a first-year, maybe second-year player. Anyway, he's a pretty good player. Knee, limited participant. He'll probably be back. Left tackle Trent Williams. This is obviously a big one. He's a superstar. Ankle, limited participant. He will return. Free safety Jimmy Ward has a hand, limited participant. He's playing with a big club, and he should play. Our old friend, cornerback Charvarius Ward, groin, did not participate in practice. However, I do fully expect that he will play in this game. D tackle Eric Armstead. He's out with a foot, will not play. Right tackle Mike McGlinchey. This is their young right tackle who has not played well. Calf did not participate. He will be out. Hufanga. So he's a young safety, a very good safety, promising safety. I wouldn't say, well, he's good, man, but he's more of one of their rising players. Talanoa Hufanga. Concussion protocol. I don't expect to see him to play. And then Dean Samson Ebicom, Achilles, did not participate. We know him from his days in the with the Rams. He made some impact plays in that game down in Mexico, that crazy game that was like 53-51 or whatever the score was. So both Nick Bosa and Trent Williams are fully expected to make their return. Jason Verrett he's kind of the same as McDuffie. He is on the pup, but he's expected to return. So they're getting a lot of their guys back. They're getting healthy. With that, let's go ahead and get into the game plan stuff. They are still banged up, right? And interior defensive line for them is particularly weak. So we need to pound the ball. And in my opinion, we need to pound the ball with Isaiah Pacheco. But whoever we pound the ball with should have a big day. If it happens to be Isaiah Pacheco, that fits what they are weak against, okay? They are weak against physical, hard runners like Isaiah Pacheco. I hope we give him enough carries for that young man to have a day, because if we give him enough carries, he will have a day against that defense. As long as we take care of Nick Bosa, which I think as long as you only have one guy to worry about on the D-line, then I think you can absolutely take care of Nick Bosa. With that, in the passing game, we need to use tight ends and running backs to chip on Nick Bosa, give Orlando Brown some help. Orlando Brown obviously not performing up to where he wants and where he thinks he can perform to. He's not performing up to top left tackle money. And as of right now, man, like anything goes with Orlando Brown. You could see a trade. I don't expect to see him get re-signed for anywhere near the money he's wanting. And honestly, like if I was the O-line coach, I'd be having a talk with him about moving him back to right tackle. I don't think he'll do that though. That's why he forced his way out of Baltimore, is he didn't want to play right tackle. So, do I think he's terrible? Do I think he's trash? No. I mean, some of you guys, I don't know what you expect from a left tackle. I think you expect to take that D end and just stop him in his tracks, and that's a good block. But those guys are faster athletes, better athletes than a left tackle. So running him around the quarterback, like I've said before, is a success. So when you see Orlando Brown actually turn his hips and run him around the quarterback, that's a good block. So to stop counting those as pressures and stuff. It's the ones where he doesn't get there and he doesn't get into his kick step and he doesn't turn his hips and turn that defensive end and running past the quarterback, that's a bad block. And that's what I've been seeing more of. I've seen a lot more of that. I've seen him try to that horizontal pass set where he tries to tries a horizontal kick step out to the D end in the wide 9, and that's not good, man. That is not good. He needs to stop that. He needs a vertical kick step, getting backwards so he can meet that D end at a deeper point and getting turned. He hasn't been doing it, man. So when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. He's not been playing very well. When you guys are wrong, and you're wrong about a lot of the blocks and stuff that you're looking at. So just accept that. That some of the blocks that you guys think are terrible blocks are not. It's the big whiffs that he's had the problem with, and it's always against speed rush. But let's be real, man. Von Miller is kind of a beast, and he makes a lot of people's left tackles look bad. So we've had a hell of a run, too. against some really elite pass rushers. Not a lot of teams are going to face elite pass rushers every single week. That's a bit ridiculous, man. I can't remember a stretch where we've run into elite pass rushers every week for 6 weeks straight. And it's been 6 weeks straight where we have an elite pass rusher we faced, I believe. I don't remember a team that we faced yet this year that didn't have an elite pass rusher, which is crazy. And we got one more coming this way with Nick Bosa. And if he's healthy, he's elite. So that's a little bit crazy of a lineup for him to face. Hopefully, as the year goes on and we see some teams that don't have quite that same tier of pass rusher, maybe when we see guys that are just good pass rushers instead of elite pass rushers, we'll start to see him perform a little bit better. But if you want elite money, you have to do good against the elite guys. So I know people are going to make that argument, and that's true. But also, elite versus elite, I would expect him to win, 50% of those battles if you're elite. I don't think he's elite. I'm not making that argument, but he is. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested in what happens with the Orlando Brown. That could clear up a bunch of expected cap space that we didn't have. And who knows, man, that would be a big splash move if you traded him and maybe played one of the younger guys, which I don't think it's a good idea, personally. I think just let it ride out, see what happens this year, and if you don't like what Orlando Brown gave you, then let him walk in free agency. Which I think is probably the most likely scenario. With that being said, let's go over to, let's see, 49ers we talked about. Yes. Yeah, they're a little banged up in the secondary as well. But I don't think we need to, real quick, I don't think we need to throw the ball down the field a whole bunch against them to win the game. They're going to give you the underneath stuff, so we need to take what they're offering us, slowly kind of just move the ball down the field, be patient. They're expecting you to be unable to be patient. So you need to prove them wrong, be patient, dunk and dink and dunk down the field, and run the ball right up the middle, because their interior D-line is terrible right now, currently. Onto the offensive side, what to expect from them. They're a run team, still are. Obviously, they got Deebo Samuel, who is a playmaker, and they will run him some. They have some decent young running backs that they will run quite a bit. But they also still have Jimmy G at quarterback. Their interior offensive line is also terrible. So Chris Jones should have yet another big day. Chris Jones is having an absolute career year. We'll get to that in a second, man. So Deebo Samuel is the main guy you got to worry about on their offense. Deebo Samuel, Kittle. I did not forget about Kittle. I just think Samuel has more of an opportunity to hurt you in different ways. So he's a little bit more of a matchup issue. Our defense faces Travis Kelce every day in practice. So when they go one versus ones, our guys see an elite tight end, and frankly a tight end that's better than George Kittle. So I wouldn't expect us to completely poop the bed with George Kittle. I think George Kittle's going to get his because he's George Kittle and he's a freaking phenomenal player. Make no mistake about that. He is a great tight end. So I expect us to know how to handle that a little bit better than a Deebo Samuel type player who is definitely a unique player. So we need to watch out, shut those two guys down. Jimmy G, I'm not too worried about him. Pressure him up the middle with Chris Jones, and we should be all right. So let's talk about Chris Jones. I made a short video the other day, and it was titled "Trade Chris Jones?" ? And a bunch of other things were in the title. I titled it that because I've heard talk on Kansas City Sports Radio of certain people that want to trade Chris Jones. That is asinine. It's stupid. I am not for that in any way, shape, or form. That wasn't what I was saying with the video. And if you watched the 53-second video, if you had the just immense patience to make it through the whole 53-second video, then you would know that. So, Iris, watch the video before you comment on it, please. Because your stupid is showing. Sorry, bleep that out. Anyway, enough of that. I am going to fire back at people when they're rude and stupid. Like, just commenting on a video that you couldn't even watch that was 53 seconds long is dumb. You're dumb. So, get off my page, dude. Like, I don't even want you around. Anyway. Oh, sorry. Back. Smiley face. I'm back. So thank you everybody that does support the channel. I really appreciate all the like, share, subscribe stuff. I'm going to give you a quick high school football update. So if you're not into that, you can go ahead and sign off now. But I know some people do follow the high school football stuff. So our boys had a tough loss last week. It did pretty much make our playoff hopes very, very grim. But we are not mathematically eliminated. We need to go in and win this week, and then we need some help. We need quite a bit of help. But I just want to say, man, I'm so proud of our boys. They are doing awesome. They're doing a fantastic job. Just so proud of them, man. They have a chance on Friday night to win a game and be the first team in 13 years at that school to have a winning record. That's a 1-year turnaround. So, phenomenal kids. Love them to death. The freshman team played last night. We ended up losing in overtime 22-21. It was a freaking fantastic back and forth game. Our defense played amazing. My strong safety took a pick at the very end of regulation with 7 seconds left, all the way down to the 1-yard line, was just barely short of scoring a walk-off touchdown. We went into overtime. They had some really big kids. They had a kid, he was, no kidding, these are freshmen, by the way, 6'4", 315, every bit, like, no exaggeration there. He might have weighed more. And then they had another kid at wide receiver. He played wide receiver, safety, and a little bit of quarterback. He was every bit of 6'5", a little bit thin, a little bit lanky, looked like a basketball player. But he made the very last play of the game. Well, not the very last play of the game. He got a touchdown in overtime, absolutely mossed 3 defenders. But he's 6'5", man. Sometimes you just can't defend that. So good on him. Good on them. They played well. We're going to have battles for years to come, I can tell, because they had a good group of freshmen just like ours. So shout out to Benson High School. Good job on them. They played very well. The freshmen did. But they were able to convert a 2-point conversion after that touchdown. And that was a walk-off 2-point conversion in overtime to win the game. So good on them. And, I don't know if any of my kids watch the channel, but if they do, I'm so proud of you guys, man. Just keep it up. You're growing. You're doing great. You're growing as men. And what you're learning on the field is going to help you be better fathers, better husbands, better men. So hats off to all those guys if they see this. If they don't, I just want to tell everybody how cool my guys are, man. They're bad. They are bad. So with that, man, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, dude. Appreciate you guys. Oh, one last thing real quick. The shorts. So YouTube has been a little funky lately. They're definitely pushing shorts. If you guys like the shorts, let me know in the comments so I can do more of them. If not, that's also cool. But please comment. It helps me, gives me feedback. It lets me know what you guys like and what you don't like. I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Say it with your chest now.